Students, are you hearing my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, right. So, as a part of paper 2, in the last class, we had introduction over one or two modules, and today we'll complete the other modules also. Okay, so before going to that, I have to share the syllabus, then I'll continue my lecture. Yeah, right. So, as a part of second paper, historiography and historical methods, um, in the last class, we discussed about module 1 and module 2 up to half of the part 2 we discussed. And as a part of module 2, like the division or the certain phases in the history, according to that phases also we follow certain historiography. Okay, so the ancient historiography you will see, medieval historiography and modern historiography, right? So it may be having certain differentiations. Okay, so you cannot see certain similar things in it. You can certain differentiation you definitely find in each historiography. So as a part of ancient historiography, we'll start with Greco-Roman historiography, where a number of historians who recorded the happened events in the ancient part of Greek and Rome. Okay, so where the Herodotus who recorded first of all, and then Thucydides, Livy, likewise number of number of historians who recorded the events which taken place before them and also uh, uh, contemporary to their period also. Okay. So, and this writing of history, historiography is nothing but it's a way of historical writing. Okay, so historiography is nothing but the way of historical writing. The historical writing may be depend on uh, the scenario, present, depend on the particular conditions. Okay, so it is different from the phases also. It's a different. We'll see the ancient and medieval. Okay, so likewise, it depend on the period. The historiography may be maybe different compared to the before and after. Okay, so as a part of ancient historiography, um, while writing the ancient history, Indian ancient history, we don't have that sufficient historical sources. Okay, so because no ruler in the ancient part who recorded their things basically. Okay, so the things like battles, at least they are not even recorded the battles. Okay, so that is the main defect for the Indian history because no sufficient sources you find. Okay, so when you see in the words of Al-Biruni, he frequently says that Indians had no historical sense. Okay, so he frequently used that saying. Okay, so Indians had no historical sense, so that they never recorded the things which happened at the contemporary part. Okay, so when the historical sources were lacked, when no proper historical source you find, you definitely depend on the things where you get historical things or historical event. Okay, so in this context, the Indian, while writing in the Indian, while writing the Indian history, all historians depend on the religious sources. Okay, so as a part of Hindu religious texts like the Puranas, Upanishad, the Brahmanikas, and Upavedas, okay, so Itihasas, like epics, the great epics like Mahabharata, Ramayana, will give you the lot of things regarding the quality and also the economy. Okay, so whenever the historical sources is lacked, definitely depend on the alternative things. And while writing the Indian history, the historians depend on the religious sources. Okay, so not only depend on the Hindu religious texts or the sources, they also depend on the Buddhist texts. Okay, so like the Deepa Vamsha, Mahavamsha, give you a lot of things regarding the birth of Gautama Buddha and his contemporary period. Okay, so the historians also depend on the Jainist texts. Okay, so these religious texts gives you a lot of information regarding the contemporary things. Okay, so then when you see the medieval historiography, yeah, when you compare to the ancient part, medieval you get somewhat some available sources. Okay, so where these Arabs and Turks entered, and in Indian territories. Those rulers who entered in the external territories, are they fight with any external forces? Are they captured any external regions or territories? Those people who recorded things immediately. Okay, so like Ghazni Muhammad and Gori Muhammad, who entered in India while coming in Indian, they entered in Indian territories. They come with they entered in Indian territories along with they brought certain people who recorded the things which taken place at that time. Okay, so in the same way, Al-Biruni and many writers who entered India and spent many years here, and they learned the Sanskrit and many languages, and they also learned many things from the Indian people. Okay, so yet from the medieval period, we can say some better writings which useful for the writing of medieval Indian history. Okay, so like many writers, Arab writers, and many writers you find in the medieval times. Okay, so not only that, many secular texts also you see, like Kalhana's Rajatarangini and Banabhatta's works also give you a lot of things, and Kalhana's Rajatarangini give you a great things which happened in between the later ancient part and early medieval part. Okay, so this area we commonly consider it as a dark age. Okay, so no sufficient sources you find. Okay, so at that time, these Kalhanas Rajtarani give you a lot of things regarding the early medieval history, and because the Kalhanas Rajtarani, majority of the Kalhanas Rajtarani gives about only the Kashmir conditions. Okay, so apart from that, he also mentioned certain things which happened in the Western India and also central part of India. Okay, so and at that time you also aware that many writings from the Rajput kingdoms. Okay, so many writers also you find from the various Rajput kingdoms like Solankis, Paramaras, Pratiharas, Rathurs. Okay, so they also maintain some historians in their court at that time, and you find they also patronize the number of poets also. Okay, so the writings of such poets also give you a lot of things regarding the medieval. Okay, so based on those text, which based on those text which written by the various poets and historians, you will get a number of things about the medieval. Okay, so and when you see as a part of medieval historiography, like Saint Augustine, Ibn Khaldun, and many other medieval historians played a role while recording the medieval history. Okay, next, historians and historiography of medieval India, from the Alberini to Abul Fazl. Okay, so from when you see, particularly in the Indian context, number of texts you will see, like Alberini's Kitabul Hind and many other works from Amir Khusru and Perista give you a lot of things regarding the Delhi Sultanate. And Abul Fazl's Akbarnama is one of the most important text. He will give you number of things from the Mughal India. Okay, so each and every thing you'll get from the Abul Fazl's Aini Akbar. Okay, so the overall the Akbari's Aini Akbari, which compiled in nearly 7 to 8 parts, and in that 7 to 8 parts, you will get lot of things from the quality to the cultural aspects are like that. Okay, so not only that, you'll get the things from the things, the economical aspects also. Okay, so this is Abul Fazl's work is one of the important work. We give you a lot of things, not only about the Mughal India. You also this text also give you things before the Mughal rule and after the Mughal rule also. Okay, so after that we have certain things in the module 3, totally about modern historiography. And within the modern historiography, we had some important things like Western historiography. As a part of Western historiography, you see some rationalistic ideas here, and some changes also taken place as a part of Western historiography, and they are not blindly compiled the things. They had some rationalistic ideology. According to their rationalistic ideology, they compiled the things. They recorded the things in the Western historiography. Okay, so as a part of Western historiography, you see certain historians like Ranke, which is its empiricism, and Karl Marx and his theory, historical materialism. And so, as a these Ranke's empiricism and Karl Marx historical materialism has some differentiation, and you find some theoretical differentiation, even though This give you a lot of things regarding this modern historiography basically. Okay, so not only about the Indian history, it's give about the world history, the changes which taking place in the world history. And next we'll move to modern Indian historical writing. And this modern Indian historical writing, which basically depend on the imperialist and colonialist historiography and nationalist historiography. Okay, so you are well known that while writing the Indian history, you will see certain interpretations. In the last class, we discussed about certain interpretations, right? So, while following any historiography, there are certain different opinions from the historians, and those different opinions we call as the interpretations or the schools of thought, right? So these schools of thought we will see in the Indian history, like the imperialist or colonialist historiography, which is given by the utilitarian school, and nationalist school of approaches or national school of interpretation, which is given by the Indian historians. Okay, so this nationalist school of historiography only started after attainment of Indian independence. And before the Indian independence, we only depend on the imperialist and colonialist approach only. Okay, so we depend on the things which highlighted by the imperialist and colonialist school of thought. Okay, so this school of thought only developed by the European historians. Okay, so like V.S. Smith, J.S. Mill, and Max Muller. Okay, so Alexander Cunningham, such important historians you'll see in the imperialist and colonialist group of historiography. Okay, so where they wrote the Indian history on the grounds of their interest. Okay, so because where the Max Muller, who supported the Indian race as a Aryan race, as a part of the Indo-European group. Okay, so he exaggerated the Aryan group as a part of Indo-European group. Okay, so because the Max Muller, who done much research on Sanskrit, and he wrote a text on development of Sanskrit literature or like that. Okay, so as a utilitarian group of, as a historian from the utilitarian group, he highlighted the Sanskrit, he highlighted the culture of Aryan, because he showed Aryan race is a part and parcel of Indo-European. Okay, so while exaggerating the Aryans, he showed the Aryan as a part of this Indo-European group. Okay, such things which highlighted by these imperialist and colonialist group of historians, but they done a important thing for the Indian history, that they uh, uh, they followed a systematic chronology for the Indian history. Okay, so because before that we are not aware this systematic chronology based on the years, but it is only done by this utilitarian group on behalf of Asiatic Society of India. Okay, so they racialized the Indian history on the grounds of. Sorry. అయిపోయింది సార్ ఒక 10 minutes. 10 minutes వచ్చేసి సరే సార్. Okay, so this imperialist and colonialist group of historians. They arranged this Indian history on a systematic chronology, and but some defects you find in the imperialist and colonialist group of interpretation. Okay, so where they highlighted only the Aryan part, and they neglected the Indus Valley civilization. They not even showed the Indus Valley civilization as a part of Indian history. Okay, so such defects you'll see, and they criticized the Indians like they are no historical sense. They not even recorded the history. They depend on the external historians to arrange the history or like that. Okay, so such defects you will see from the imperialistic or colonialistic group of historians, but arranged, but they done one from we can see some advantage from the imperialist and colonialist is that they arranged the historical events, Indian historical events in a certain order. Okay, so when you see the nationalist approach after attainment of Indian independence and on behalf of Indian government, some historians who started this nationalist approach, and these nationalist school of historians who highlighted the gaps which left by the imperialist and colonialist group, because these nationalistic ideology was developed by these nationalist group of historians. They highlighted certain missed things by the imperialist and colonialist group, and this in the nationalist approach, nationalist school of thought also you find certain defects also. Okay, so where you see only the upper class ideology here, because the majority of the historians from the Brahminical structure, and the majority of the historians wrote about only the about highlighted only these upper class history. Okay, so and they highlighted only the political history. Apart from they neglected highlighting the social and economic history. Okay, so that is the main defect from the national school of historians. Okay, so as a part of module 4, we have things over the Marxist and subaltern schools and other approaches, where after Indian independence, and as a part of National School of Approach, National School of Historians, those historians who studied from the other foreign universities like the Oxford, Cambridge, and due to certain rationalistic thinking, rationalistic ideology, these Marxist school of historians who are influenced by the Marxist ideology, and they highlighting the gaps which left by the National School of Approach, National School of Historians. Okay, so where these National School of Historians who neglected the history of lower class, and they neglected the economic history basically. Okay, so they neglected the cultural history. So these were highlighted by the Marxist school of historians. Okay, so where these Marxist school of historians who highlighted the economic history basically, because economy was the basic thing. Without economy, you cannot see the society. And based on this theory, this Marxist school highlighted some other things, and on the basis of this, their nationalistic ideology, they restructured the Indian history again. Okay, so even though the Marxist also restructured again, these some other subgroups from the Marxist school of historians like the subaltern group and feminist group also identified certain gaps which left by the Marxist school of historians. Okay, so where the subaltern group of historians who highlighted the lower class history. Okay, so without the lower class or common people, you cannot see any history in the world or any region. Okay, so those history, particularly the history about the lower class or the lower class involvement highlighted by the other schools. Okay, so that the lower class involvement in the history was highlighted by the subalterns. Okay, so subaltern is nothing but studying about the lower class history. And another one is the feminists. Okay, so means feminists were who worked on highlighting the history of the women. Okay, they highlighting the history of the gender basically. Okay, so where as a part of society, men and women were at half of the part, but when you come to when you see the recording of the history, they only highlighted the men's contribution and they neglected the women's history, where the feminist highlights the women's history gradually. Okay, so such schools you see in the module 4. Okay, so apart from that, we also have the things over the dissertation and thesis writing. Okay, so as a part of research, uh, you have to be record the things in the form of thesis or dissertation. Okay, so whenever after completion of your student life, you definitely turn into a scholar. Okay, so after your master's degree, then you have when you want to continue your studies, you definitely go with the postdoctoral work. Okay, so as a part of research, as a part of scholarly research, you definitely enter the this postdoctoral work. So, as a part of postdoctoral work, you have to research on a particular selected area or particular selected title or a topic. Okay, so you choose a title for your seminar paper. Like for the PhD, whenever you entered in the PhD, you have to choose one topic for your research. Okay, so first of all, you have to choose your topic. Then you have to follow the research, and then you have to write those things in the form of a text is nothing but the thesis or a dissertation. Okay, so these you have to see in the module 4. So we have to start these with the selection of the topic, and before the after the selection, you have to prepare one synopsis. Synopsis is nothing but a proposal, right? So a particular proposal, you have to write a book later after completion of a stipulated time. Okay, so you have to prepare a synopsis, and then whenever you collected material which compiled into a particular text, you definitely follow certain methodology. The methodology may be depend on the primary or secondary sources. Okay, so whenever we will see particular history of a region or any territory, definitely we see the sources by which you will see the history of particular region or particular area. Okay, so likewise, whenever after collection of your material, whenever those material which turn into a compilation, turn into a text, you definitely follow some methodology. The methodology must be based on certain sources like the primary and secondary. Okay, so where the primary sources are like inscriptions, The primary sources are like any archaeological source, like buildings, coins, okay, so inscriptions. All this comes under the primary sources. The secondary sources are nothing but based on the primary sources, the text which wrote by various historians, those we call as the secondary source, right? So the text, the all text comes under the secondary source. Okay, so the uh, based on the archaeological and the primary and secondary source, you have to write or you have to compile a text. Okay, so in all these see in the module 4. When you come to the module 5, we have to start with methodology. Methodology may be based on this primary and secondary source. As a part of primary, you have to go with the archaeological sources, and whenever you are compiled the recent works or the contemporary works, you have to go with face-to-face interviews. Face-to-face interview also comes under the primary source, and as a part of secondary, you have to reference, you have to uh, go with certain contemporary reference as a part of the text, as a part of sources. Okay, so based on these, you can write the text as a with following certain the methodology. Okay, so the methodology is different with each subject. Okay, so the methodology of history is different with the methodology of political science or methodology of sociology or methodology of economics. Okay, so the methodology is different. It may be different. It may be depend on the subject. Okay, so because the sources of history is different with the source of political science. Okay, so that's why the different is the methodology is different from one subject to the other. Okay, another one is the hypothesis. Hypothesis is nothing but it's a imaginary view. Okay, so whenever you writing a text, you definitely have a hypothesis. Okay, so hypothesis in the sense it's a imaginary view. What you are giving certain new thing, what you are mentioning a new thing in a particular text, you maybe follow the hypothesis. Next one is the review of literature. Review of literature is nothing but it's a collection of the text where the relevant text you refer. Okay, so you have to mention about those such relevant texts which somewhat related to your particular topic. And next one is the chapterization. And the chapterization is in the proposal only, in the synopsis only, you have to give the proposed chapters first of all. Okay, so you have to divide your compiled material into certain chapters like the introduction and the chapter 1, 2, 3, and next is the conclusion. Okay, so likewise you have to propose your chapterization also. Next one is the footnotes. Footnotes or endnotes, both are the references. While writing the thesis, while writing a historical text, you have to provide certain footnotes. Footnotes in the sense reference. Okay, so footnotes in the sense you gives you some reference. The same reference will be provided in the same page in the same page. It's called as the footnote, and the same reference will be given in the end of the chapter or end of the book is nothing but the endnote. Okay, so footnote or endnote the same, but both are the references. But footnote is you are providing the footnote reference in the same page. Okay, so endnote is the end of the chapter. Okay, that is the difference between the footnote and endnote. Next one is the reference. As a part of a reference, you have to provide certain list of books which you refer. You have to give under the bibliography. Okay, bibliography is collection of the text. Okay, so next one is the index and the completion of the thesis. Okay, so you have to provide some appendices and you can add certain material at the end of thesis. It comes under the index. Sorry, index is nothing but it's a content, right? So before starting of chapter one acknowledgement, we have to provide the index. It's provide you the overall description in one page is nothing but the index. Okay, so it is totally about the writing of the thesis. We will see in the module 5. Okay, so dear students, this is end of my class, and I will give you regarding this historiography and historical method. We have certain further readings also in the end. See suggested readings you find. Uh, One is the EH course, what is history. So what is history is a important text to give you a lot of things regarding this historiography and historical method. And next one is Arthur Marwick, Nature of History, also provided you about the nature of history. Okay, so likewise you have many books which is given in the below. Another one is Collingwood, the Idea of History, also one of the important text will give you a lot of things regarding this historical writing. Okay, so and one more important text is the Sheikh Ali, the history and its theory and method. The Sheikh Ali is one of most important text. You will get a lot of things regarding the historiography. Okay, so you have to go through with Sheikh Ali. Okay, so another one is E. Sridharan. E. Sridharan, a textbook of historiography, which is the most important text you will get the Indian historiography totally in the E. Sridharan text. Okay, so these are certain suggested readings where you get a lot of things regarding the historiography and historical method. Okay, so dear student, this is end of my class today. Regarding my class, you have any uh, doubts and clarification, now you are welcome to ask. స్టూడెంట్స్ ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయా?
ఏం లేవు సార్.
ఏం లేవు సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
ఓకే, రైట్. థ్యాంక్ యూ. I am ending my class now.